I'll give you the concept of a work permit because it may not be something that you're familiar with in your home country or indeed in other countries that you've been to work in the past. Hi, I'm Ray, and today I'm talking to you about the legal processes that teachers need to survive in Vietnam. Look, I've seen so many teachers in my 12 or 13 years here in Vietnam struggle with the legal processes. And if you have a strong legal process foundation, life in Vietnam as a teacher is so much easier. Today, we'll have a look at that. So today, we are going to look at 3 different areas of the law. I'm not going to actually give you the strict rules, but I'm going to give you the ideas behind that so that when you're talking to your school, a visa agent or other legal professionals, you know what you're talking about and you have the right paperwork to get going and to do it the right way to make it easy for you. We have stage number 1, legalization of documents. What is legalization of documents? Look, I'll put this in a very easy way. You have a piece of paper. That piece of paper could be a certificate. It could be like a diploma, a degree, a legal document from your government for a criminal check or something like that. And whilst that piece of paper is has been legally approved in your home country, in another country, they need to check that that is an actual document. And there are a number of ways that they do that. My first thing is, what documents do you need to be able to set yourself up here in Vietnam as a teacher? Well, number 1 is your university degree. Then you need to have a teaching certificate for English, but specifically something like TEFL, TESOL, or CELTA. And it is always advisable that you get yourself criminal background check from your home country. I got mine only about 18 months ago from Australia, and it cost me about 100 Australian dollars or about 70 US dollar. And I got it online. It was a case of I went onto the Australian website, I put my details in, and within about 2 days, they sent me a certificate, and that certificate is issued by the government to say that I have no criminal record. So after you get all your documents in order, it is time to get them notarized or in some way legalized. Now, there are different ways that that can happen depending on what the document is and what you need it for. Now, the 2 main ways of legalizing these documents in Vietnam is, number 1, through your embassy. Now, it may be that your agent, your school, or some person in Vietnam will advise you to make a booking with your embassy and to have the documents legalized. Now, I can give you an example in this case. In this case, my particular university degree was done in France. I completed my studies through a college that was based in Paris. And so what I did was that when the document was issued, I sent the document directly to the French embassy, and I can't remember how much it was, or a little bit of money, to actually get them to notarize that document to say that my degree was legally recognized in France as a proper degree. And that's how I set it up. Now, that doesn't mean that it's accepted in Vietnam. From that particular position, I then need to take it to the office in Vietnam to have them notarize it to confirm that it is a legal document. So what I'm trying to say is that the processes of such, they could be different for different documents. So you've either got your embassy, as I just noted, or there are 2 levels of notarizing in Vietnam. Now, if you are in a city like Ho Chi Minh City, where I am, there in Pasteur, there is a special office that you can go to that is particularly looks at people like you and I who are foreigners are needing our documents notarized. You go to that office, you take your documents, you get copies of them, of course. You take them there. Again, you pay a little bit of money, and I think you need to wait 1 or 2 days, or could be a couple of hours. I can't remember now. And they will stamp and notarize your documents. then you can hand the copies of those documents over to the school or to the government or whoever needs it, and your documents are notarized. Rather than saying, okay, what do I need to do? What I suggest that you do is that you ask the people that you're dealing with, as I said, the school, the agents, etc., and ask them, where do I get my documents notarized, or how do I get it done? Do you get it done when you arrive in Vietnam, or do you get it done before you leave your home country? That is something that you need to ask to be able to get yourself set up properly. Part two of looking at the legal aspects of becoming a teacher is the visa process. The visa process is awfully complex and it always changes. Essentially, these are the key rules. You can't work in Vietnam on a tourist visa. In order to be able to get a work permit and a temporary residence card, you can't go from a tourist visa to a TRC. You must have a business visa. To get a business visa, your company must give you an introduction letter. And again, whilst I say, you've got to do all this, the idea would be that you should be getting your company to support you in the process of getting your first visa to get into the country. A business visa allows you to come here and work, but not work as a full-time teacher, but at least come here to start working, which allow you time to be able to get your work permit and your temporary residence card for you to become a full-time teacher. Business visa, they come in 3-month, 6-month, and 1-year options, and they need an introduction from a business to let them know that you are coming into the country to carry out some form of business. As a teacher, it's a little bit different than for other commercial enterprises. The purpose of the visa is for someone from a global company may be coming here to work for 3 months. And even though they are not permanently stationed here, they are coming into the country to do some work. That is the purpose of the business visa. The other options, as I said, are tourist visa, which doesn't allow you to work, and also family introduction if you happen to be a relative of a Vietnamese citizen. Again, that doesn't particularly allow you to work under that visa. But if you have any questions about visas, you should be talking to a visa agent. But just get the visa right, and your stress and the complications of you becoming a teacher in Vietnam go way down. Part three is the work permit. Now, I'll give you the concept of a work permit because it may not be something that you're familiar with in your home country or indeed in other countries that you've been to work in the past. A work permit is over and above any visa that you have. Specifically, a work permit is the certificate issued by local authorities that gives you permission to work in a particular job for a particular company. So in this case, we are talking about teachers, and I work for a company in Ho Chi Minh City. When I joined the company, I started working. My visa conditions are a little bit different because I am married to a Vietnamese citizen, but I started working and I gave them copies of my documentation. I went and did my health check, which is part of the work permit process. All that paperwork is gathered, taken by the company. The company applies for a work permit on my behalf, and then the government agency responsible for that, they will issue a 2-year, 1-year or 2-year work permit, and that is held by the company. Essentially, you have nothing to do with the work permit process other than you have to work with your company to get the information to apply for it. A work permit is held by the company. It is not held by the person. So when you are applying for a job, you are to follow the directions of your company, and you are to supply them with the information and, of course, go and do your health check at an approved hospital, and they will do the application process for you. But if you happen to be with a company who are asking you to pay for the work permit process, I would have questions about that and I would seek further advice. Temporary residence cards. What is a temporary residence card? Well, a temporary residence card replaces a visa. A visa is for short-term stays only, and a TRC, they call them, temporary residence card, is a permit for you to live in the country for an extended period. Now, for most teachers, that stay is for a maximum of 2 years. How do you get it? You get your business visa to get into the country. You apply for the work permit. When the work permit comes, you gather the two lots of information together. And most people usually use a visa agent, and you send all that information to the visa agent. And on your behalf, they will apply for a TRC, and you will pay the money. I don't recall the actual amount. It's not too much though. And you are allowed to then carry out all functions in the country, like banking, renting apartments, all those basic functions that a citizen would have, that you don't get to have if you are only on a visa, whether it be a business visa or tourist visa. The main one is banking. If you are a holder of any visa, you don't get access to Vietnamese banking. If you are the holder of a temporary residence card, you are allowed to use the banking system, open a bank account, deposit money, withdraw money, etc. So when it comes to legal advice and getting things set up legally, they are the key points that you should be looking at and working with your school, with a visa agent or other legal professionals to obtain the correct information, get the paperwork done properly, and get yourself set up correctly. Now, what I would strongly suggest is that you don't rely on Facebook groups for advice, or Reddit or any other social media groups, because look, being fair to the people, most of them are trying to help you, but the fact is that the laws in Vietnam are progressive and they are constantly changing, albeit just a little bit, but they are constantly changing. And so the only way to get the right advice is to have professionals who work in that space support you through your process of becoming legal. Don't assume also that the rules in your home country are similar to the rules in Vietnam, because they're not. Okay. When I came to Vietnam, I had no idea. I made a whole heap of assumptions, and probably about 95% of them I got wrong. Always double check the legal requirements. Even if you may have been through the process a few years ago, you must continually refresh yourself on what the current processes are. Look, I'll be totally honest with you, teachers. Vietnam is an amazing place to live and teach. I've been here for 13 years, but it's only amazing if you are in a correct legal position to do it right. So if you want support with legalization for visas, work permits, TRCs or anything, Vietnam Teaching Jobs has a portal to support you. And just remember what we are constantly saying. If you go through a portal like Vietnam Teaching Jobs to get your legal processes supported, then you can be assured that you get the latest information that is secure and correct. Going through any link on a social media website or by word of mouth can leave you in a lot of trouble. As I said, I've been here for 13 years. I love Vietnam. I love teaching. I love being able to make a difference and have purpose. And it's a great experience if that's what you want to do. So please come and join me here in Vietnam and enjoy teaching just like I do. So guys, I look forward to seeing you in Vietnam very soon. My name's Ray. You can check me out on my Facebook or YouTube pages. Just Google the words "an Aussie in Vietnam" and you'll find me there. Great stuff. Good luck. See you in Vietnam really soon. Bye-bye.